Hello world, it's me, Dr. Roger. In the beginning there was me, and welcome to the gospel according to Dr. Roger. I don't know about you, but social media is getting harder and harder to focus on because there's just so much more pouring onto the different platforms every minute, every hour. So many different subjects, so interesting, impossible to keep up with all of it. But one thing that has caught my attention, maybe it has yours, is the absolute plethora of posts by people recently looking for jobs. I've seen posts from people who say, I've had 80,000 views of my application, my plea for somebody to give me some work, and not a single invitation for an interview. Is it your impression that it's getting harder and harder, particularly younger people and older people, to find a job, to find work? It certainly looks like it from what I'm seeing. And it's very, very annoying because, you know, the country is falling apart, as most countries are. Things aren't getting done that should be getting done. Our leadership is, well, not the greatest we've ever had. There's so much for talented people to do. And here are people with all kinds of ideas and great energy, um, all over the place in every country, looking for work, posting as they never were able to do before, communicating as they never were able to do previously on social media, and following up their posts with subsequent ones saying, I've had nothing. I mean, come on, 80,000 views. That's viral. And not one job interview offer, not one person saying, hey, Charlie, give me a ring or let's have coffee or something. I mean, what in the world is going on? So that's why I invited my guest tonight, Ronel Lehmann, who runs a company called Finito, 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 which specializes, a very unique company based in London, specializes in mentoring and helping um, recent graduates or people about to graduate, and in some cases, as I understand it, people already in work, and in some cases, I believe even more mature people who have been in work and want to get back in to, I guess, first of all, build their confidence, which has probably been shattered by trying to enter this absurd market, and then teach them skills of modern day interviewing and presenting, which are, if you get into this, as I have a little bit, I tell you, it's really different than I remember it, and probably even in recent years. It changes all the times. The lingo, the jargon is completely different. The responses, if they're going to work, should be. It's a whole different ball game, with younger people having devised the rules, and it's just a totally different experience. And so Finito, through its, I believe, hundred something mentors, helps people, not at an inexpensive price, as I understand it. Ronel will tell us more. Helps people to find work, to find jobs, and get through this terrible maze. So this should be very interesting. If you have children or grandchildren, or you yourself are looking for work and experiencing this thing that people, I mean, we've all heard over and over again that our children will not enjoy the same quality of life that we have, just because of the way the world is. And some young people say to me, just because of the way you've screwed up the world. Oh, okay, okay. You guys have ruined it for us. Well, I'm not sure about that, but we'll see. But Ronel's mentors are the only people that I've come across that actually help people of, I guess, all ages and experiences to get into the job market to find genuine employment. So this should be quite a fascinating discussion. And Ronel is an absolutely charming man, a really good guy who I have met a number of times in different settings. And one thing he is incredibly well connected to all the power players. So when he says he can help, I mean he's not telling tall tales. He really is very well connected, not just with universities and large employers, but all sorts of people, politicians and the rest. Anyway, let's bring in Ronel now and see what he has to say. Ronel Lehmann, welcome to the Gospel According to Dr. Roger. It's a pleasure to have you. Um, you're a very special person with a very special business, which I'd love you to tell our viewers about. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of people interested in what you've developed. Tell us, first of all, please, tell us a bit about yourself and your background and how you got into the education employment world.
That's very kind of you, and it's a pleasure to join you today. I started my career in recruitment, then stockbroking, pre-Big Bang, post-Big Bang, before moving into financial PR and then running a marketing agency for 26 years. But the thing that always excited me most was when a client picked up the phone and said, "Can you look after my son or daughter?" And we always said yes. And they were always looking for the next employment opportunity. It might be they were starting out, or in fact, they had started wrong and they were looking to find a meaningful career. Famously, half of them never said thank you for the help they got. The other half are in very senior positions today and grateful for all the support given to them. And it gave me the idea in 2016 to set up Finito, the employability experts, to help anyone who is a school, college leaver, undergraduate, graduate, master's, doctorate, or an international student to find a meaningful career.
Why did you call it Finito?
Actually, it's a hilarious story. I prepared a big list of names because I'd had a career in marketing. I thought, I'm going to be able to come up with a name for the new business. And I met someone who's extremely well known in the tech world, and she sat down at the dinner table in the restaurant opposite me and looked at all the names and said, "This is terrible. None of them are any good." And then in the same breath said, "Have you thought about Finito?" And I literally jumped out of my seat and hugged her and said, "This is incredible." And I protected the name that evening, purchased the URLs, and it's been a really great name, and people remember it. It's short, sharp, and it says what we do.
Mm-hmm. How does it say what you do?
Well,
You mean finito, the aggravation of trying to find a job?
well, I think it can be. If you look at urban slang, you have a son who might say to his father, "If I don't get my maths results, I'll be finito." We've had some people who've referred to it as finished, like a finishing school. We've had others who, will say, "Oh, I've sent my son to Finito," because it sounds good. And then we have others who use it in slang, saying finito. We've had lots of different interpretations, but once heard, never forgotten.
So you set up Finito and tell us about its development to date.
Well, what's happened is that once the word got out there, and it was a slow organic start, we are now inundated with parents who are tearing their hair out, going, "What am I going to do with my son or daughter?" And what we're seeing, I mean, we're in a difficult economic time. You know that better than most. We're seeing lots of people losing their jobs right now. I mean, Lord Wilson talked about this with the national insurance rise. The number of opportunities for young people who are just leaving school or college to work in retail, for instance, has just disappeared. And there are lots of other sectors that are now recruiting using artificial intelligence. And it's becoming harder for people to get feedback on why they've been rejected. In
Yeah.
fact, there are people who never even get rejected. They never hear anything.
They just don't hear. I mean, that's the bulk of what I hear is that, um, yeah, I mean, you're right. I suppose I know better than most because, I'm a geopolitical and economics expert and I get all kinds of stories. And I do hear over and over again that people just don't get an answer.
No. It is a real problem. And how are you supposed to develop if you don't know how you performed?
Exactly.
People who go to interviews and they never hear anything.
Yeah.
And if they do get rejected, if they get asked for, how can I do better? They don't get any answers.
And somebody should point out that it's bloody rude.
Well, I agree with you. And so to that end, when anybody emails me or writes to me, I have always replied,
Sure.
and always will. And I
Sure.
think it's common decency.
Even if it's in the negative, at least you reply.
Yes. But also, I think young people need to have a bit more resilience and to believe in themselves.
Ah, that's a different side of the coin. Absolutely. We've mollycoddled them too much, perhaps.
Yes. And if you get
It's
rejected,
it's all it's all about their feelings.
yeah. And if you get rejected, write back and say, I was very sorry that I didn't make it. Do you have a friend or a contemporary in another firm who I might be better suited to?
Sure.
No, why not?
Yeah.
Engage.
What's
Don't just accept, oh, I was rejected.
yeah, what's the worst that can happen? Absolutely.
We also had a candidate, I mean, and this is frequent, who came to us having made 150 applications and heard nothing. And then when you say, well, can I look at your CV? It was 7 pages. Now,
That's
no,
not that's nuts. Nobody's going to read that.
nobody's going to read it. And that's why they didn't hear anything.
Well, I was just saying in the introduction that I came across one case. Somebody had 80,000 views of his relatively short job application on LinkedIn and not a single invitation for a job interview.
It's staggering.
Yeah, isn't
Absolutely.
it? 80,000. That's viral.
Yeah. And I think our institutions are to blame as well. And
Yeah,
of course,
why is this that it's become so difficult?
so the schools, the colleges, the universities, and look, they're great for academia, but they're not great for the world of work.
Yeah,
Now, someone will pick me up and say, well, that's, you're being a generalist. But their whole raison d'etre is to make sure that the candidate leaves the institution with a qualification, a piece of paper, something
yeah,
they can hold their name to.
yeah.
But it's not a passport to future success. And those very institutions do not care about what happens to you once you've left.
Hmm.
When you've graduated, when you've got your degree, when you've got your qualification, you're on your own. And that is where we come in and help candidates.
So I have a son who's just about to graduate uni, and uh, he not only can he not find anything, he's not even sure what he wants to find. He's not sure what he wants to do or be. So I meet you. Take us step by step through what happens.
So the first thing that we do is we always meet the candidate face to face, whether it's me or other mentors, and we find out who they are, what they want, where they want to go, and how they want to get there. And
What if they don't know? As I just said.
yeah, and the process is actually to find out, are they only interested in investment banking or being a solicitor or being an accountant because their father wants them to or their mother wants them to? Or is it that actually they like the arts and creative industry sector and yet the parents are going, but there's no money in that industry? So we have to find out what are their passions? Now, some of the candidates know exactly what they want, but they don't know how to go and get it. Others have absolutely no idea what they want. And then there's a third category of those who think they know what they want, and we will find out. So that's the first thing. The second thing is their credentials are never fit for purpose. And when I mean credentials, their CVs usually begin with, I'm a team leader.
I'm a self-starting, energetic,
yes, absolutely.
team playing.
Yeah. And what a prospective employer wants to hear is you, the employer, me, the candidate, we together, not me, which is how all CVs are structured because they're taught this in education to believe in themselves and to project themselves. Now, there are a cohort of candidates who come to us and say, I actually want to do a master's. And then we have the conversation about, is it because you're delaying the day when you actually go to work? The answer is usually yes.
Yeah.
They're postponing the day that they go to work.
Yeah, because I'll get a better job,
Yeah.
so
Well, they think they will.
yeah.
Ashridge or Cranfield, if you, do a master's there, employers will be all over you. The same with London School of Economics.
Yeah.
Some of the other universities which have master's qualifications, they really are not fit for purpose, and employers are not interested in them. So that's the process we go on. We rewrite their credentials. A journalist interviews them and rewrites them in a form that someone who doesn't know you will actually be interested in you.
Right.
We photograph you. We train you on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is not like Instagram. You'll be very surprised, but candidates use Instagram and LinkedIn interchangeable, and the two are completely separate.
Totally different.
Yeah. And then we introduce them to our mentors. They start with a senior mentor, and he then will work with them to find out which mentors they'd like to interact with. They usually have 3 or 4 at any time, and they focus on 3 career paths.
Oh, they work with more than one mentor.
Absolutely. That's really important. And they work with 3 or 4 at any one time. I had a candidate the other day who gave us a short list of 11 mentors he'd like to work with.
Isn't that a bit confusing for them?
Yeah, it's a bit over ambitious, and also
no, but even 3 or 4.
No, 3 or 4 are really good, because at the point at which they've discovered what they want to do, they have to choose 3 career paths, not one.
Huh.
If you have only one path and you fail, you become dejected and rejected. Whereas if you have 3, the chances are you'll be successful in 1, 2, or 3 careers.
Okay, I'll be an astronaut or a physicist or a baker.
Yes, or if it
Sous
is
chef.
Yeah, or if it's private equity and you want to be an investment banker, or you want to go into management consulting. Those are we always look for 3.
I see. That's clever.
And then we guide them through the application process so they can have some help. So there's no point starting an email to a prospective employer with the word yo, or hi. Some of them haven't mastered how to address somebody in seniority. There are certain ways of, and often that first interaction with an employer is so important. The letter that they usually draft is over a page long. It's just the email, it's just too long.
Right.
It won't get read. So, and then I think the bit that I'm most proud of is when they get shortlisted for an interview or invited in for an interview. They work with mentors they haven't spoken to before, who will role play the interview. And believe me, Roger, then they are prepared and they know what it is to.
Excellent. How often do they interface with their mentors?
As much as possible.
Meaning what? If I were doing this, how many times a week would I talk to my mentors?
You'd be speaking to them every day or 3 or 4 times a week.
Okay.
And what we find is sometimes candidates come to us because their parents have sent them to us as a last resort, and they sort of thinking, well, why am I here? Why am I doing this? But shortly thereafter, they actually start to bite your hand off because they realize the magnitude of what we're doing.
And how much does all this wonderment cost?
£15,000 for a UK student, 30 for an international student.
Up front.
Yeah.
Wow. And why is it double for an international?
Usually because they have work permit issues and you need legal support for visas and
so you handle that for them.
We work with the relevant bodies to ensure that they can actually succeed. Yes. Everybody wants to come to the UK, but we have a large contingent of students who are international but want to take the skills back to their own country.
Okay.
So
so you help them look for jobs back home?
Yes, absolutely.
And how long have you been going again?
Since 2016.
Right.
But I've been doing this, I suppose, in my spare time for the last 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah, through my previous careers, because we were helping people all the time.
Sure. So how many students do you have at
At
any
any
one
one
time?
time, we have 30, 40 mandates. I mean, they're completely changing. Candidates are getting roles, and then
Yeah,
he wants to
I
come
was
in.
going to ask you that. What is the period, the gestation of from the time they start to the time they get a job usually?
Well, we had one father who complained after 2 weeks because his son had got his dream career. He was very smart, but usually it's 3 months, 6 months. I always say to candidates, we're not judgmental. It's not about speed. It's about finding you the right place. And
Right.
once they actually find their meaningful career, they don't move. And then they move within after 2 years or 3 years, and they come back to us to ask for help.
And do you, may I ask, do you have competition? Are there any competitors, any people doing this? It sounds so unique.
Yeah, there are many recruiters. The recruitment industry feeds off placing candidates at high speed into graduate positions.
Oh, it's nothing like this. No.
No, no. And we have a lot of care and we don't let go of you until you succeed. So
Right.
the answer is no,
So you don't really have any competition.
no. I started something which is a real niche, never been done before in this way.
And how do you see the next 5 years then?
I see us growing very fast. I mean, we are scaling now. We're attracting mentors in other countries, not just in the UK, because we
Mhm.
have lots of inquiries from abroad, and we want to have mentors in those countries as well.
Okay. So if anybody watching is a parent or a student, they certainly, I think, have some interesting information about you to consider. What if they're a prospective mentor? What do they, how does that work?
Well, we do not recruit.
What if I want to be a mentor? What do I do and what do I get?
Oh, well, we'd be delighted to have you as a mentor. In fact, you're a great mentor to me, Roger. Um,
You're
I,
very kind. No, no, seriously, what
yeah, so the people that we're not interested are those who are in education or careers advisors. They are the
already, yeah.
Yes, they're the worst people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't unlearn them.
No, what we want are people who have got a demonstrable track record in an industry or a whole series of sectors, people
Uh-huh.
who have a portfolio career. So,
Uh-huh.
they have got something to offer the candidate and help them, inspire them. Um,
So if you become a mentor, what's involved? Do you have training and what is
yeah,
it, how long does it take and how much do
actually,
they make and whatever?
oh no, we pay all our mentors very handsomely. The issue is it's not a full-time role because each candidate may have three or four.
Yeah.
Um, and we want to work around busy people who can actually deliver value to our students.
So if I'm a mentor and I'm mentoring four people, what do I make and how much time does that take up?
Well, we the amount of time is up to the candidate and the mentor. Typically, the sessions are 40 minutes an hour. I mean, we have some candidates who've had 2 hours. They might meet them face to face. They might be having a Zoom call. They might be, uh, sharing documents. But every mentor writes a report after a candidate meeting, and that's really interesting because my senior mentor will read that. The other mentors who are working on the same mentees will read it. And I read every single report and then interfere. So if I see somebody who's looking at a particular career and I know that we've got a contact that maybe the mentor doesn't know about, I will make
Mhm.
that introduction. And that helps the candidate on their journey. It's a continuous journey. But we are looking for more mentors, specifically abroad, and that is underway at the moment.
Good, good. What about this new government? Are they going to and all, you know, Phillips and just everything going on? Is that going to help your business or harm it?
Well, I think if you ask any parent, the one thing that they worry about are their offspring, and they'll do anything to help their sons and daughters to succeed.
Yeah,
And in fact, we've only spoken about, people starting out or seeking a meaningful career. We're also helping people who are senior, who are maybe leaving a board position and looking to transition.
yeah,
They have exactly the same requirements if they've been in an industry sector for a
yeah,
while.
yeah, yeah.
But to answer your question, Finito itself is not a political organization. I mean, we all have varying views. It's very important that we do. I mean, the mentors have a very wide range of views. The fact is, it's a tough time. You know, we have been through, you know, not so very long ago,
Sure.
financial crisis and crash. We've been through COVID. We've been through Brexit. We've been, you know, I mean, you can just list everything that's going on. There's wars.
Absolutely.
None of us know what's, you know, in business wants certainty. I mean, none of us really knows what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're in trade wars at the moment. National insurance has gone up. That is creating a difficult environment.
Employment-wise, it's a disaster.
It is. And it does surprise me that no one in the front bench of the current cabinet has actually had a career in business.
I know. This is the least qualified government they've ever been.
Yeah, and that isn't a party political statement. That is just a reality.
Sure.
So when you're trying to grow a business, you know, one thing you want is certainty. Everybody wants, you know, the banks to support business. Everybody wants the government to help support. And we're not seeing that at the moment.
Okay. Now, moving on, Ronel, you've got this wonderful and very unique business. And then, of course, you have a completely different business, which is you're a magazine publisher. You publish the most magnificent, brilliant monthly, is it, magazine?
It's quarterly, yes.
Quarterly. Finito World, which is just incredible, with somebody world-shatteringly famous on every cover giving you an interview. It's just a totally different life. I don't know how you do both things, but please tell us a bit about Finito World and how that came about. And we don't have a lot of time left, but you know, just tell us briefly how that came about, how you created it, what it does and represents, and how it relates to the business of Finito.
That's very kind of you. So when COVID struck, like everyone, we were all stuck at home. I was eating breakfast, thinking about 11's, what am I going to have for lunch? When is tea? And what am I drinking at dinner? And after a few days of that, I was starting to worry about where will our new candidates come from? Because many students were losing their work experience, their internships, their shadow placements. And I walked with the dog every day and picked up the newspapers. And I bought every newspaper and every magazine. And once I'd finished my work every morning, like all our mentors had done, I started reading all the papers. And what I noticed every day was they were shrinking and getting smaller and smaller. There was no advertising. Journalists were being furloughed. And I thought, how do we prove to our parents, our future clients, our future candidates, that we ourselves can overcome adversity? Because it was a time when, you know, people were saying they weren't having a very good student life. They were being locked up in their rooms. They weren't going to interact with anyone. And I thought, what about if we start a magazine, do something counterintuitive? So I contacted Sir Martin Sorrell and I said, would he be our first front cover? And he agreed. And
let's hold that up. Don't be so quick. Let's see that gorgeous magazine again. Have you got some other covers to show us?
Of course, yes. This is the latest issue.
Ah, Modi, very good.
The one before Taylor Swift.
Wow.
And there was the idea, which was to produce the Employability magazine for difficult times.
Okay.
And the first issue.
That's the link. That's the link.
Yeah, it's the link. That's why it was called
the Employability magazine for tough times.
For difficult times, yes. Yeah. And we've never looked back.
Yeah. You say tough because, as they say, when times get tough, the tough get going. They don't say when times get difficult, people get difficult, although they do.
Yeah, absolutely. So
the tough don't get difficult; they get tough.
So it was a moment to overcome adversity and to prove that we as an organization could overcome adversity.
Right.
And the magazine, we're just putting to bed now the Jeff Bezos issue, which will come out in May.
Wow.
I mean, he's our main front cover feature.
Well, how do you get all these people on the front cover for an interview?
They all want to participate. I mean, there's a queue of people who want to be there.
What, you just call them up?
Well, they've seen the magazine. I mean, it's delivered to every business leader, accountants, banks, insurance, law, everyone in Parliament. Yeah, very proud. It's my proudest moment. I've got the most fantastic team working with me. And I have to mention Chris Jackson, who's the editor. I mean, he's utterly brilliant.
It's a beautiful magazine.
Thank you very much. It
And
means
it's online as well.
Yes, you can read it online and you can read it in print.
Finito World, everybody.
Finito World.
Worth reading. And Ronel kindly sends it to me every quarter, and it's great.
Yeah, I think we'll go bi-monthly, but it's a big jump to do that.
Right. Okay, good.